Namaskar, Rhythm. I think rest of us will first go with mantra chanting and then we will start with the book and rest of the things.
Namaskar, ma'am.
Namaskar, Dyanshi, long time. What happened? Um, Dyanshi,
Yes, ma'am.
what happened? Why did you not attend classes? Like yesterday, also, I saw you logged in and then you ran away. What happened?
Yesterday, ma'am, I was sleeping. I was not in a mood of taking class.
There is a certain level of discipline, Prityanshi. This has been a constant excuse of yours. Others are also managing, so you should abide by the strict rules. If you are coming, tell me you are coming. If you want to leave, you just leave. Attending one or two classes are not enough. If you have taken up a course, abide by it properly. So, everybody, let's get into mantra chanting mode first of all. Yes, sit straight. Harshita, Bhavika, Bhavini, Vaishnavi, all online students, you can turn on your videos, sit straight and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and release. Once again, take a deep breath in and release. One more time, take a deep breath in and release. Now we can start mantra chanting. Om Shanti Antariksham Shanti Prithvi Shantirape Shantiroshadaya Shanti Vanasvataya Shanti Vrishve Deva Shanti Brahma Shanti Sarvam Shanti Sama Shanti Redhi Om Shanti 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 Om. Now you can rub your palms and place it on your eyes. And as and when you feel comfortable, you can open your eyes. Namaskar, everyone. Got late? Okay, so dear students, we have read a good part of Alchemist as of now. Now we are about to witness journey of Santiago, how he is going to face various difficulties, challenges, while on his journey to have his treasure. So let us bring up the sheet. And today, I want Vansh to read. Vansh, switch on your video.
Like when I am owning my video, ma'am, it is don't opening. Like when I on it suddenly, like
When you
it
switch
oh,
on your video, what happens?
ma'am, when I open it after some time like how can I tell?
You can switch on your video. I'll get to know your situation. As soon as you switch it on, it turns off. It happens automatically.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you can read it. Yesterday we read about that how the boy got into the bar and how a particular person came with him and promised him that he will show him the way to the pyramids, and for that they would need two camels, and he took the money from the from Santiago, and then he was nowhere to be seen, and most of us have guessed that he must be cheating upon him, because by that time the prayers also started and the man was nowhere to be seen. So here we are.
Ma'am, like where?
Wait, wait. Now you can start from this. The sun began.
The sun began its departure as well. The boy watched it through its trajectory for some time until it was like, until it was hidden behind the white houses surrounding the plaza. He recalled he recalled that when the sun had risen that morning, he was on another continent, still a shepherd with 50 sheep, and looking forward to meeting with a girl that morning. He had known everything that was going to happen to him as he walked through the familiar fields. But now, as the sun began to set, he was in a different country, a stranger in a strange land where he couldn't even speak the language. He was no longer a
Okay, so here we would just bring the summary of what he has read, that he's comparing the time when he was in his own place, he was in his own land, and you know, he used to be very familiar of sun rising and setting. And now he is in a different continent altogether, and he knows nothing about this continent. Even he's lost at this place when he saw that his money is also not with him, and that person to whom he handed over the money is also not with him. So that morning he had known everything that was going to happen to him as he walked through the familiar fields. It is about the past. But now, as the sun began to set, he was in a different country, a stranger in the strange land where he couldn't even speak the language. So he was no longer a shepherd, and he had nothing, not even the money to return and start everything over. So he was now completely blank, nothing to look up to or look for. Vansh, continue.
okay, ma'am. All all this happened all this happened between sunrise and sunset. The boy thought, as he was he was feeling sorry for himself and what is this?
Lamenting, being being
Lamenting
sad about the fact.
um, lamenting the fact that his life and that his life could have changed so suddenly and so drastically.
That
He
means the
wa-
life is so uncertain. In seconds, your life can be, it can turn from plus to minus. Yes,
Hmm.
Vansh.
he was so ashamed that he wanted to cry. He had never wept in front of
His own.
in front of his own sheep, but the marketplace was empty, and so he was far from home. So he wept. He wept because God was he wept because the God was
Unfair.
the God was unfair, and he because this way the way God repaid those who believed in their dreams.
Right. Now he's turning negative and he believed in God and he followed the dream which God, according to him, showed to him. He respected God, he was devoted. But now, if suddenly incidents changed to negative, he started, he started doubting God. Okay, now I want Siddhi to read further. Siddhi, are you there, Siddhi? Wait, I think Siddhi is not here. Okay, Avni.
When I had my sheep, I was happy and I made those around me happy. People saw me coming and welcomed me. He thought, but now I am sad and alone. I am going to become bitter and distrust, distrustful of people because one person betrayed me. I'm going to hate those who have found their treasure because I never found mine. And I am going to hold on to what little I have because I am too insignificant to conquer the world.
Conquer the word. Try read properly. Don't just smash any word that comes to your mind.
Conquer the world.
So he is now going for a self talk that I'm going to hate this world. This world is a dirty place. Those who have found the treasure, I don't know how they find it. I never found it. I have been cheated. So all those things he might have been uttering to himself.
He opened his pouch to see what was left on his of his possessions.
This is also reading aloud like yesterday. Don't make mistakes.
Maybe there was a bit left of the sandwich he had eaten.
Which, okay.
uh, he had eaten on the ship, but all he found was the heavy book, his jacket, and two stones the old man had given him. As he looked at the stones, he felt relieved for some reason. He had exchanged 6 sheep for two precious stones and that had been taken from a gold breastplate. He could sell the stones and buy a return ticket, but this time I will be smarter, the boy thought, removing them from the pouch so he could put them in his pocket. This was a poor town, and the only truthful thing his friend had told him was the poor towns and full of thieves
Are full of thieves.
are full of thieves. Now he understood why the owner of the bar had been so upset. He was trying to tell him not to trust that man. I am like
Everyone else.
everyone else. I see the world in terms of what I would like to see happen, not what actually does.
Right. So this is a problem of most of us that whatever is happening in front of our eyes, we try to see with our own judgmental eyes. If probably you are having a sibling fight, okay, and somebody would come from outside, okay, and you are the elder brother or elder sister. So everybody will start shouting at you that why are you hitting your younger sibling, or why are you, holding him like that, without asking that what this person has done or whether you are hitting him or not. So person obviously judge. Here also, this Santiago judged the this man who stole his money, that he might be helping him only, but he did not see from the eyes of the owner. Whatever this man told him, that in his own language, he understood that ways. He did not want it, he did not explore further what owner could be saying, apart from that. So we must always explore the both the sides of the coins, and not just go by one side of it. Okay, last paragraph.
He ran his fingers slowly over the stones, sensing their temperature and feeling their surfaces. They were his a treasure. Just handling them made him feel better. They reminded him of the old man. When you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it, he had said. The boy was trying to understand the truth of what the old man has said. There, he was in the empty marketplace without a cent to his name and with not a sheep to guard through the night, but the stones were proof that he had met with a king who knew of the boy's past. They are called Urim and Thummim, and they can help you to read the omens. The boy put the stones back in the pouch and decided to do an experiment. The old man had said to ask very clear question and to do what the boy had to know what he wanted. So he asked if the old man's blessing was still with him. He took out one of the stones. It was yes. I am going
Am
to
I?
Am I going to find my treasure? He asked. He stuck his hand into the pouch and felt around for one of the stones. As he did so, both of them pushed through a hole in the pouch and fell to the ground. The boy had never even noticed that there was a hole in his pouch. He knelt down to find Urim and Thummim and put them back in the pouch. But as he saw them lying there on the ground, another phrase came to his mind: learn to recognize omens and follow them. The old king has said. An
That's
omen.
it, that's it, that's it. So right now he was in a confusion state, that whether he's going to find the treasure or not. So he just got only two things with him, that is the two stones. So he tried asking questions to the stone, and suddenly the stones fell out of the pouch. And suddenly he recalled what old king told him, that learn to recognize omens and follow them. So wherever Urim and Thummim might have fallen, he might look for other hints to move towards his destiny. So we will explore this tomorrow, whether he was on the right path or not. So I can now see SVM students entering the meeting. Where are others? Namaskar, everyone.
Namaskar.
Where are others?
And they had not come from home.
They have not come from home. Okay, okay. Right. So we will move back to our teen program. So, as I told yesterday, we are going to have our podcasting thing continued. This we did yesterday, we had read, and now we all will get ready for podcasting. Yesterday, I told you what is the meaning of a podcast. So, it's an audio or a video medium to show your knowledge in certain areas, and they generally come in the form of series. If you have subscribed to that particular person, you will offer you will often hear from that person through the audio or video means. Now, get set ready for your own podcast. So, first of all, we have to see the podcast launch checklist. What do we have to do in order to launch a podcast? Because this is a project for you people. You will be doing it, on weekly basis. But today you are going to do some homework for it. So, first of all, in order to have your own podcast, you have to define your podcast concept and you have to think seriously on it, because this is going to continue for a long time. And you cannot just take just one idea which appeals to you. And if you do not know how to, add detail to it, you will not be able to carry it further for a longer time period. So, think and then only act on it. So you have to define the concept, get clear on your podcast idea, mission, and purpose. Who is your target audience? What topics will you cover? And how is it different from existing podcast in your genre? So, first of all, through your podcast, what do you want to share with the people? Is it the comedy? Is it the joke that you want to share with the people? Okay. That your purpose is to make others laugh. Okay. And that your idea is to be creative in humor also. Who is your target audience? The jokes that you are making, is it for the teenagers or is it for the kids or adults? What topics will you cover? So, in like, for example, school humor or market humor. So, what type of topics will you cover? How is it different from existing podcast in your genre? So, of course, every person has got similar thoughts. You and I may have similar humor level, but I need to differentiate from you that how my humor, my podcast is different from your. Okay, so you have to uh, write that as well. And then you have to name your podcast. Name should resonate with the content you are creating and be memorable for your audience. So pick up some creative name for your podcast so that your audience will always remember it on the tips whenever they're looking forward to find your podcast. They can immediately find it, okay, and recall the name of the podcast as well. So right now, I want you people to first do these two things for yourself. Take some time, take 5 to 7 minutes, and then I will ask you people just like we did in the PPT time. This time also, we are also going to have a discussion of what type of podcast you are going to launch and what is the name of your podcast. And then there are other things which will follow. Take 5 minutes and think about it. If you have any questions, you can ask me in between as well.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Like we have to take the podcast like that we won't.
That you want to share with the people, or that is the ambition of yours. For example, I just told you that if you find good at creating jokes and humor, it's just an example, okay? So you want to share it with people. That is another part of your personality, and you want to take it in a podcasting way. So you can have this mission of yours that I want to make people laugh because the world is already full of lot of misery and dismayed people. So you can write something like this, and then you can talk about whatever other questions have written over here. Try answering them. That who
And,
is going to be
and
target audience? Yes, Vansh.
nothing.
Okay. Yes, Siddhi. Siddhi, you are not audible to me.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, Rhythm.
Ma'am, I am asking. Ma'am, am I audible now? Siddhi ma'am is not here, but now you are audible. Okay, thank you. No, ma'am is here. Means, I mean to say that ma'am has said just 2 minutes. Wait a minute.
Tell me, better.
Ma'am, actually, I wanted to ask you that, like if we have to say it now only.
Yes. You
Yeah,
have
we
to
have
prepare
to.
it right now, and you have to define at least your podcast concept and your name of the podcast right now in the class itself.
Ma'am,
Excuse
like,
me. And
Carry it on step by
can
step.
you explain about the podcast that you're going to do?
Beta, each one of you will be having a different podcast channel. Okay. So whatever, like if you are more interested in art and craft work, right? So if you want to launch a podcast based on art and craft, in that podcast, what will you tell to the people? Okay. First of all, who will be the type of people? Will you be sharing certain information with kids also? kids only or children or housewives? With whom would you like to share this art and craft idea? And then what are the topics that you're going to cover in your art and craft idea? Okay. So podcast, as told yesterday, it is the medium of speaking. Right. So it's an audio medium. Sometimes you can go for the video also in that case, right? And how is it different from the existing podcast in your genre, in your field?
Okay, ma'am.
Excuse
Yeah.
me, ma'am.
Yes, Ridyanshi.
Ma'am, right now for the podcast, you have to tell that which thing are we defining and like who
Which
are the.
field, which podcast would you like to run in future? Okay, in the future classes, what is the one thing that you are going to, have expertise in, and you're going to share the information about it? So there will be at least 2 to 3 or 4 series about it.
So, ma'am, like we have to basically tell her what we will do in future if we want to do podcasting.
No, it is your current podcast, okay, in which you are going to tell about your expertise area, that for this area you want to give information to the people through podcast medium. It is just like radio, okay? On radio, you listen to various programs. Just imagine you are the part of the radio, okay, but you have your own setup, okay, with a mic, and you are talking about your expert field. Okay, say for example, you are good at storytelling, so your podcast will be regarding storytelling only, and in every series you will come up with new stories. Okay, somebody's expertise is in humor, so in every series he or she will be coming up with the topic based on, say for example, in one series you have shared the school humor, in second series you have shared the kitchen humor, anything like that. In art field, somebody is coming up with the clay modeling. Next time you are coming up with paper mache or something like that, and you have to tell people how it is done. And you can also talk a brief thing about its history, like when paper mache started. Okay, but this is not possible in humor case. It depends on what content you are sharing, so your introduction will change accordingly. Getting my point,
So, ma'am,
Ridyansh?
yes, ma'am. Ma'am, when we will start, we'll say that hello everyone. I Ridyanshi. I'm here to share my expertise field.
We will share this thing. We will share this. I will share with you what is going to be the intro and the ending part of it. But first, you just need to define 3 things. That is, what is your podcast all about? What is the mission? What is the purpose? Who is going to be your target audience? And what topics will you cover in the coming 4 sessions? Because you need to record yourself, and your series will be played here only. And how is it different from existing podcast? And also give the name of your podcast as well. Today, I will show you sample podcast as well. So you will have an idea to refine your podcast name and podcast topic as well. But initially, you have to put in effort.
So, ma'am, only one topic will go on for the 4 series.
Exactly, exactly. So that is your expert area. Expert area and topics will be different in every series. As I
Okay.
just told you, that if it is storytelling, so one time your mythological stories, if you're taking up the podcast of mythological stories, so my mission is to make people aware about the myths held in India or outside India, okay, or various characters from the past, historical past. People should be aware of it. And then my target audience are kids only. And topics I will cover in 3 series. I will first cover maybe Krishna Leela. In second, I will cover Ramayana. In the third, I will be covering Bal Krishna Leela or something like that. Okay, so you have to define that as of now. And podcast name could be historical stories. It's just an example. It can be more
Like
creative also.
when, we have a YouTube channel like our name, so like that only podcast name will be there.
Yes, or you can make a creative name like his story, history. Okay, so it comes as history also and story also. So history. That could be the name of the podcast channel,
Okay, ma'am.
right? I hope I have given you enough guidance for this. Will everybody be able to do this? SVM students, they're not here. Mishika, Vansh, Ridyanshi, Siddhi, Ganika has also dropped.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Write nicely, neatly. Every day there is no particular topic. What is the topic?
Like how
Have you written? Have you written? This is your topic. Topic is podcasting. And what is this? Why there is so much of scribbling here? What are going to be the topics for the next three series? What is the name of your podcast? Have you written that? Yeah. What is that? Okay. Are you ready for the presentation? I mean, just speaking. What is going to be the podcast concept and the name of your podcast? Ready? SVM Dehradun, have you all written?
समझ में नहीं आया
Have you understood the concept what we are going to do?
पता है
Then why are you not asking? I've just explained the things. Okay, have you heard about the word podcast?
मैम
Okay, so podcast, who knows what is it?
डिस्कशन
Sorry, bache?
बोलना मैम डिस्कशन between two people
Okay, this is one of the types of podcast. You are talking about discussion between or interview between two people. That is one of the types of podcast. Podcast has many types. You are speaking alone. That is also a type of podcast. You are interviewing. That is also a type of podcast. Okay, so there are different types of it. Now, podcast can be only audio, or it can be audio video both. Okay, unlike radio, which needs a very big setup, podcast does not need a big setup. It just require a mic and a medium to communicate your voice to the end users. This medium can be YouTube. This medium can be Spotify. This medium can be any other, platform, audio medium, which you can use. What happened, beta? Rishabh? Any point of distraction? Aditya just discussed something. What happened? Okay, so if you want to share anything with a larger audience, you use podcast as a medium. Then what is another difference between radio and podcast is that radio content is more regulated. Everybody keep a check on what is coming on radio, and it is generally considered as truth, because it's like newspaper, right, which gives you the news but through audio medium, right? But podcasts, whatever you are saying, it is your own thought process, what you feel about things. That's how you put on the podcast, and it is not much regulated or not controlled by the government. It is your own personal things. So now you people will be having your own podcast for the coming fourth sessions. Okay, each one of you who is present over here, now you are not going to be in teams. You are going to be individual podcasters. Like we have YouTube influencers, we are going to have podcasters here. So, say for example, I am a podcaster and I want to share information with large audience regarding grammar topics. Say for example, okay. So, in one of the topics of my podcast is beginning with the I. Okay, then I will talk about how to use I. In what places do we use I? Second podcast could be regarding tenses. Okay, then I will tell people about tenses, and third topic could be about vocabulary, something like that. So, in that podcast, also I have to see what length I really want to make this podcast for so that people do not get bored. So, we will come on this also. First is the concept. Okay, my mission, why I want to share grammar or vocabulary with people, and how am I different with the other podcasters, okay, who are also doing the grammar podcast or vocabulary or English podcast. And second thing that I have to do is I have to name my podcast. This is what you people are supposed to do right now. Okay. So I think Rhythm and Vansh are ready to speak about their.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, Rhythm.
Ma'am, I have done, but like I want to ask that this time now I only have to tell about the first only, or the four series.
I personally would like that you should tell me all the four things, all the four series, so that I can see how far you can go in your vision of developing a podcast, and then you can bring changes in it later on.
Ma'am, like this time I have written.
It's okay.
I can
It's
speak.
hit and trial practice only. Speak up. What is your
My
podcast all about?
my podcast is all about social issues, as there are many issues which are common everywhere. I want to make people aware about the social issues. My target audience are everyone, whether that is boy, adult, teenager, everyone. And name of my podcast is Strive for Social Challenges.
Okay. Remember that we cannot give such a big podcast name. Try to give a smaller name. And also tell me the three topics that you will be carrying on for the coming fourth podcast sessions. Okay. Vansh.
Okay. Hello to all my audience. Welcome to our podcast 123 Laugh. My, my name is Vanshara. My target audience are all school students who are below 10 standard. Can I start?
Okay. You're already starting the podcast?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We do not need that right now. I just want to have three topics from you which you are going to cover in your podcast.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, ma'am, in this podcast,
This is not a podcast, Vansh. This is just the preparation we are doing, that this is how you have to develop things. This is not a podcast. Podcast will come later. Okay, right now I just wanted to know that what is going to be your field of podcast. You said that it's a laughter field. Okay. And then
ma'am.
you have also told me the name of your podcast channel, that is 123 Laugh. And you have given me the name of the target audience also, that is school students below class 10th. Okay. And I also want to know the mission and the purpose of your podcast. What is the mission and the purpose of your podcast?
And the mission of my podcast is I like to aware the students that if any if any boy who is if a boy who is elder than him, and if he says to him he abuses to him.
Got the idea of purpose and mission. Purpose and mission will remain same for all the series. So your all series will reflect the purpose. For example, your purpose is to make people laugh. Your purpose is to bring people out of tension and anxiety, who are living a school life through your light humor. So your light humor can make them laugh, and that is the only purpose of your laughter podcast. Okay,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
all your series, of course, you will crack some jokes or whatever way you will conduct your podcast that you know the best. Okay, you have to give me three topics sooner on which you will be releasing your podcast.
Okay, ma'am.
Siddhi.
Ma'am, may I start?
Mm-hmm.
So, welcome to your own channel. Welcome to your own channel, or we can say podcast channel. So, from coming date, 10 November, we are going to start a podcast series on a very interesting topic. Can anyone guess? Hmm, no, then let me tell you. It is on your very own channel of podcast. A new series is going to be held from 10 November related to the importance of hobbies. It is not only a podcast channel that gives you inspiration, but also a podcast channel that will inspire you to choose your hobbies, in which you are interested. But not only this, it is going to be very humorous and as well as a little inspiring as well. Because nothing can be done without humorous things. It will be going to be bored. You will be going to be bored if there will not be anything interesting. So I'll meet you on 10 November with your on your own podcast channel. So let's meet on 10 November. मिलेंगे जल्दी. धन्यवाद.
Okay, Siddhi, you've tried giving an introductory look to your podcast, which was impressive enough. However, we need to change the content of it as well. Why? Because, first of all, it was not very clear of what your podcast is going to cover. You've told about importance of hobbies. Importance of hobbies, you cannot stretch for two to three series. You have to bring up one big field. It can be just hobbies. Okay, and then in series one you will be talking about hobby like gardening. You will be speaking about it, how to do gardening, how to do multiple things. Then in next series you will be talking about cooking and how to do cooking and what else required and art. So if you think that you are good at all these three things or more things, because podcast, if they have more followers, they will demand every new things every week or maybe every month. So pick a rich topic for which you have a deep information. Okay. So that's why I told you that if your interest is towards art, so pick that topic, and you might have you might end up making multiple series on it because you will be having multiple topics to cover in art thing. And you have not talked about the target audience anyways, and your purpose also.
Actually, I was just saying about that my podcast channel is not about that importance of hobbies. It's like it is about the hobbies that we have, and we are not.
That means the message was not clear, no? Because you wasted your time in just, preparing the decorative part of it, but you did not come across simply. You all need to just speak simply. You don't need to act on it right now. अभी podcast नहीं हो रहा है. It is just your piece of knowledge that what you are going to share with the people on podcast, who is going to be a target audience, just one, two, 3 points, 4 points. Okay, and what is going to be in your series, that is it. No dramatic tone right now required. That will happen in your introduction when you are doing your podcast. Okay, so just come up very clearly and accurately with this thing. Okay, Nishika.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Yes,
how
Rita.
many series are
Ma'am, I am asking that the rest of three topics that I have to give about my series, I have to also tell my purpose as well.
So purpose is just one that you said, that aware, social awareness, and you can just describe this topic a little bit more. Otherwise, all the series topic that you will be covering will be only hitting at social issues only. Like first you
Ma'am, may I tell?
talk about cyberbullying and all those things. So what is your series one?
Ma'am, so the that was social issues, and then was understanding of parents about their children,
Mm-hmm.
and then pressure of work on people,
Mm-hmm.
and sexual thoughts and attraction during teenager.
Okay, all right. So I think you have chosen good topic, Rhythm. Mishika.
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, I will be talking about drugs and crimes in my podcast, as it is a very emerging and a rampant problem. So, the main purpose is to aware the people about the harmful use of these drugs and how these are actually making a negative impact on our lives. So the main targets are going to be uh, the adults, the teenagers, and the youngs about who are in their 20s. So in this, the main topics I will be covering are how drug crimes are taking drugs and crimes are taking place, the causes, how we as a citizen alone can stop this thing, and what are the preventions that we can take, what are the policies that our country or the UN has together taken out, and the name of this will be Crimes Against Life. And I think this is a different podcast series as compared to other podcasts, as many podcasters do not talk about this problem, and it has like done a very great, not a like a very negative and a huge impact on our lives. Like every citizen in our country is now using drugs, so that's why I will be trying to aware.
Right. So, Mishika, because you have picked up a serious topic, make sure that as a podcaster, though it's just a trial, you also know that practically in a long run, if you even do that, you have to carry on this topic at a bigger stretch, or you can end up with few series, 5, 10 series, and then you can take up another thing. So accordingly, you have to change your podcast name and other things also. So, Mishika, deal well with this, because I think this is a great responsibility to talk about drugs and its addiction, and how you are going to carry on the things. So, I really wish you best in your endeavors when you prepare for this podcast. So, good topic, and requires huge responsibility. Ridyanshi.
Ma'am, I'm creating. I'll just be there in 2 minutes.
Okay. Anybody at SVM Dehradun? Avni?
My podcast concept is how is to tell stories, and it is for kids, adults.
How to tell stories is the basis of your podcast. You will every time in the series you will share how do we need to speak stories. Is that what you are intending?
No, I'm just telling them stories of Panchami.
Panchtantra stories. Okay.
My stories are for adults and kids too, and my channel name is Crazy Studio.
Crazy Studio. Okay. And how is it different from other podcasters who are also speaking the similar Panchtantra stories?
Like I'm bringing the new one stories that are latest released.
Okay.
In English, I'm speaking.
Okay. Vaishnavi?
Other podcast moral stories. The world is full with evil works like corruption, lies, and so on. So I want to spread goodness everywhere. It is for adults, teenagers, and kids. My podcast channel name is Changing Mindset. Topic for three series are obey your parents, good over evil. If you will care others, others will take care of you.
Okay. Right. From SVM Dehradun, is there anybody? Okay, let's move to other things that you have to take care of. So now you also have to create your podcast artwork, design or commission a podcast logo or cover art related to your podcast theme. So guys, here comes job of your hands and mind. So it is up to you whether you use technical softwares like Canva or other things which can create a logo, okay, or you can do something like, if you're a good artist, you can draw logo on your own and put that as a part of your podcast. Okay, so this is another thing that you all have to do: create a logo.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, Rhythm.
Ma'am, yes, done.
Ma'am, we have to use that logo as our background.
Yes, you can use that logo as a background.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am,
SVM Dehradun, anyone with podcasts?
Can we copy this?
No, it has to be original, creative yours. Yes, SVM Dehradun. Why not?
ma'am, can you please tell that, ma'am, like when we have to speak the paragraph?
Ma'am, may I?
SVM Dehradun. Nobody is doing but shouting, huh?
Ma'am, may I?
Yes, Ritanshi.
So, ma'am, my targeted audience is basically everybody, but I'll
Ma'am,
be addressing each kind of generation on different days. So, like some common thing, like every day, some best statistics about waste converted to best. Then my first day will be introducing, and that is targeted audience will be everyone. And then second day, the targeted audience will be kids, like gardening methods, creating artificial flowers, and like all about nature. And then third day, teenagers and the kids above 10 years, designing your own outfit, learning new designs and combinations. Then fourth day, adults, managing ourselves. So my podcast topic will be artistry unleashed.
Okay, Ridyanshi, quite impressive. However, I need to tell you that you cannot define your podcast like a course. It's not a course, 3 days or 4 days course. No, it's not like that. It has to have a fixed target audience. Okay, like today you are going for adults, tomorrow you are going for teenagers. No, so if you have specified that it is for teenagers, now it is up to people. Like, even if I go to your podcast, it will be harmless. But Vidyanshi has told that this is for teenagers, so of course the activities will be meant for teenagers only. But adults can also listen to it. What is the harm in it? Right? But it is not like that. Today you are doing it for teenager, next day you will raise the difficulty level for adults, or you will decrease the difficulty level to like 2 years or 3 years old kids. No, you cannot do that. Okay, you
ma'am,
have to keep the target audience the same.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
ma'am.
ma'am, ma'am, can you please tell that when we have, ma'am, like when we
I
have
will
the
tell you. I
podcast,
will tell you. I will tell you. So your third task is to create your podcast artwork. Avni, have you understood what you are supposed to do? The logo.
Can we like
First, come out of your slumber. Wait, see this one, and then I will talk to you. Now, most of you have talked about various topics like drugs. You've talked about social issues. You're planning on some humor. You're planning on some artistic work. Somebody's planning for stories, another going for moral stories, and so on. So, how are you going to display this thing? Because you have to choose one way, right? It can be always like, if you are going for a video audio mode, so are you going to take it in an interview mode? You are talking to someone who used to be a drug addict, and now you are questioning this person. Okay, how was your mental health at that point of time? What forced you to get into this drugs and all those things? So is it going to be that interview based, or it is just a solo episode that you welcome various people on your shows, then they are themselves speaking of how it went on, or you just speak their stories? So you bring up stories, four different stories from four different drug addicts, and how they felt at that point of time. Or it could be a round table discussion where many people are sitting, and you are carrying your podcast accordingly. Ask them to be quite narrative stories, like you are telling your own version of it. Okay, or a mix of it. Choose a format that suits your content and style. So every time if you are coming up with it, you have to follow one style of it: interview, solo episode, roundtable discussion, narrative stories, or a mix of it. Plan your podcast episode. Thoughtfully decide on the topics for the initial episode. This steps also includes planning episodes, length and regularity. How often will your podcast will be released? So this is what we will plan later. But for our Teens PD program, we will hold three series for 3 weeks or 2 weeks, whatever time is left. Write and record your podcast intro and outro. That is, outro is when you are exiting. Create compelling introductions and conclusions for your podcast, including music and tagline. So, music might not be there, and if you can arrange some background music which should be played while you have just entered, so that you can also do, that's your creativity. And this introduction and conclusion will always remain same. Okay, so I'll show you one sample podcast here which is on the website. So I told you we have got various platforms on which you can publish the podcast. So BBC have chosen their own website for their podcast, right? So here I'll take up one of the podcast because it is based on social issues. So let's talk about Tobacco Playbook. This is the name of the podcast, and the topic is Big Oil, Big Crisis. Okay, episode 8 of 17. So they have planned that I will do 17 episodes in this podcast, and this is the eighth topic in it. Okay, and listen to this one. I think this is the next topic, not this one. Wait.
BBC Sounds, music, radio, podcasts.
This is intro.
Hi, welcome to How They Made Us Doubt Everything. This is episode 1, Big Oil's Big Crisis.
So you have heard? This is episode 1 of Big Oil, Big Crisis.
Wasn't even noon today when the temperature at Sioux Falls in South Dakota was over 100. In Georgia, a woman died from heat stroke while she was working in a tobacco field.
Look at the length, it's for 13 minutes, 34 seconds. Initially, they have given a background music also. I'm not asking you to do that. In case you are tech savvy, if you want to do it, you can do that also. You are open for it.
The heat continues over much of the nation and the heat wave alert continues here at the Weather Channel. First of all, we'll start off with some record highs.
And this can be heard in the White House.
Is there climate change? Yeah. Will it go back like this? I mean, will it change back? Probably. That's what I think. We do have an impact.
Now, here in this audio mode, the person is interviewing somebody else about the big tobacco oil crisis.
Ma'am, your video is post.
Ma'am, your video is stuck.
Okay, so I was saying that this BBC podcast followed the mode of interview. Okay, it's up to you which mode would you like to follow. If it is going to be a solo mode or if it is going to be interview mode or a mix of it. I'm going to show you something here also, another type of podcast.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, beta.
Ma'am, in the podcast, do we have to learn that whole lines, or we have to just read from some from
No,
our
no, of course
notebooks?
you have to learn the lines. Now look at this. This is another podcast which has a same beginning. Whatever episode you will listen to, it will have a similar beginning. So 6 minutes English. That's the name of the podcast. And the topic here is this: Real Easy English talking about music. Oh, we need to download this. No, here.
Welcome to Real Easy English.
In this series, we have everyday conversations in easy English to help you learn. I'm Beth.
And I'm Neil. Visit our website to read along with this episode, bbclearningenglish.com.
So did you see two people introduce themselves? That means podcast will have two different voices and they might be talking to each other. And then they introduce the episode name also.
How are things with you today, Neil?
I'm very well, thank you, Beth. How about you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. What topic are we talking about today, Neil?
Well, today we're talking about music. We'll talk about some of our favorite music and how we listen to it.
I hope you have got an idea that this is their first series of talking about music, and they have already defined that their podcast length is going to be of 6 minutes only. So people will listen to them for 6 minutes. You also have to define the length of your podcast, that how long people would like to listen to you or how long would you like to speak. So this is your homework. Tomorrow I will again ask you people, what's your podcast name if you have got your creative designed logo with you, and what is the mode of your podcast delivery, and what type of podcast is it going to be? Is it going to be solo, interview, or mix of all those things which I have just shared with you? So be ready for tomorrow, and also prepare your introduction and how you are going to exit. Okay?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, Rhythm.
Ma'am, you have said about the mode. I am not able to understand what is our mode of a podcast.
Mode of podcast refers to how you are going to deliver your message in the podcast. Are you going to interview someone every time in your podcast and deliver the message to the people? Are you going to just speak on your own? That is a solo. Okay. Or is it a mix of both? Okay. Or is it going to be a storytelling technique, narrative from your own experience? Okay. These are the modes. Yes, better.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, may I leave?
Yes, everybody can leave.
Namaskar, ma'am.
Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Namaskar, beta.